Welcome to a series called He Trains My Hands for War, where we're going through the book of Joshua verse by verse, because the book of Joshua is by far the best example of a group of people who were obedient to God. Not just a group, but a nation of people who were obedient to God and followed his instructions through warfare. And they were victorious time and time again, just simply because they were obedient to the strange things of God, the things that might go against what it is your normal militaries might do. Now, we've talked about this for many episodes, but I just want to kind of reiterate, and the reason is because not only do they believe in the Word of God, they believe what the prophecy says is going to be true, they're walking straight into it. And they know it to be so, and they're leaning on it, as a matter of fact. And that's something that we have to learn how to do. So as we've gone through this book, where we're at is where God has given the instructions on the destruction of Jericho. We've talked about that a little bit, and we're just going to kind of keep talking about it. And we'll pick it up there. Joshua 6. But it came to pass on the seventh day that they rose early about the dawning of the day and marched around the city 7 times in the same manner. On that day only they marched around the city 7 times. And the 7th time it was so, when the priests blew the trumpet, that Joshua said to the people, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city. Now the city shall be doomed by the Lord to destruction, it and all who are in it. Only Rahab the harlot shall live, and all who are with her in the house, because she hid the messengers that we sent. And you by all means keep yourselves from the accursed things, lest you become cursed when you take up the accursed things and make the camp of Israel a curse and trouble it. But all the silver and gold and vessels of bronze and iron are consecrated to the Lord. They shall come into the treasury of the Lord." All right, we're going to pause there, because what's taking place here is this last instruction that Joshua gave. Here the city, it's falling, and it's to us. Let's get it. But do not touch the accursed thing. Now, why is silver and gold and bronze and valuable things accursed? Well, because all of the prophets that come out of Jericho are meant to go into the house of the Lord. Not into your house or my house, but into the house of the Lord. And that's the point of all this. Now, future cities can go into other people's houses, but this first victory, this all belongs to the Lord. The bounty, all of it belongs to the Lord. And if it wasn't for Rahab, everyone would be killed. Now, this is very significant, because I don't see Americans being able to achieve something like this. As we read through this verse by verse many times, I'm like, I don't see us being able to successfully do something like that. That's why it is only a remnant that can achieve these things. Because if you get victory of a kingdom and it has lots of silver and gold and riches, to give it all up to God if he demands it, well, of course you got to do that. But people can't do that. That's something that most Americans truly struggle with. This is a big problem. This is something that, we have to kind of open our eyes to, that if God asks us to sacrifice something to him, you have to be able to do that. You have to be able to say, okay, it's just gold and silver. And God said, give it to him. I'll give it to him, because what he's about to give the Israelites is way beyond the riches of Jericho, way beyond it. This is like as if you walked into Fort Knox and you found some change on the ground. And you said, look, let's get that change. And not realizing that there's vaults of gold beyond that. This is something that Americans have to open their eyes to, because we want to grab all the shiny things. And as we're going to see, the consequences of grabbing the shiny things ultimately leads to death if you are doing the things of God. Now, does grabbing a hold of gold and silver and shiny things lead to death? No. But if you're in the remnant in the army of God and he says not to, yes, it will lead to death. So that's why this is so incredibly important, that as Christians, we begin to open our eyes to the sacrifices that God is asking us for, even if we think we deserve those things. Because a bunch of soldiers are going to go in there and they're going to kill every man, woman, and child in that city, with the exception of Rahab and whoever's in her house. And they're going to probably think to themselves, boy, I sure did some crazy stuff today. I should be rewarded for this. Most Americans think just because they're breathing, they should be rewarded for that. So I don't see most Americans be able to function in any way, shape, or form on the battlefield in the army of God. And if you want to be a part of that in the warring of the saints, you got to open your eyes to these things. And this is an awesome example of that. Any thoughts or insight? Definitely put that below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. Feel called to support this channel with Patreon. The link is also below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests. So never hesitate to send that stuff in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, love guns.